You're so oversensitive. Well, hey there, welcome back. Oh, sorry, that was my ADHD kicking in. That gets thrown around a lot, doesn't it? People use it to describe everything from an actual condition in which someone can't concentrate, to being easily distracted, or to having bouts of hyperfocus. Do you tell people you have ADHD? I mean, jokingly or otherwise? Do you use it to explain why you got distracted? Do you yell, "Squirrel," and then laugh? So we have data coming in at us in every form that we have a sense for. Sights, sounds, smells, even taste and touch. Then add emotion to that as well. And then we have to sort through all of that to make sense of it. Our second voice and memories play a part in that as well. You encounter something that triggers a memory, and now you're dealing with new data as well as the old data of the memory that just popped up. It's that sorting and making sense of that can cause fatigue and a sense of being overwhelmed, and can even cause us to shut down. Does that ring true with you? And does that make sense that not only do you have to deal with what you're currently observing, but if what you're observing triggers a memory, now the memory floods at you while you're observing, and you have two streams of data to deal with. And, some people say, "Oh my God, I'm triggered," and then they just freeze up. But, we have work to do, so we just deal with it. But if you're someone who is really open to all this data coming in, and you do notice a lot of things, smells and tastes and touches and all the stuff that other people don't, and you're like, "Oh my God, don't you hear how loud that is?" And you push back on that, to the people even making all the noise or providing all this extra data, you kind of get called sensitive. Oh, don't be so sensitive. You're so oversensitive. Just deal with it. No one else is complaining that the music is too loud in the cafe or the cleaning smell in the hotel is just overwhelming. Everyone else has to deal with the requests from people who want services like yours, and just sort through it, right? Here's an interesting indicator, though. Have you ever noticed that people who are highly specialized and usually highly paid don't put up with that? Shark Tank and its counterparts like Dragon's Den, they're notorious for the millionaires that want a quick pitch, and then they'll speak up, arguably rather rudely, if you're speaking too slowly, or you're not relaying the correct information. They have no time for incorrect data or data being presented incorrectly. Seen a doctor lately? If you see a doctor, especially a specialist, they will corral you and sometimes coerce you into telling them the issue quickly. They will also cut you off and will not spend too long listening. After all, they're important and highly skilled. And next, if you're in the service industry, meaning what you sell as a service, anything from painting to coaching to real estate to insurance to forms of consulting, then you probably spend an enormous amount of time or effort in trying to get your prospects and clients to communicate with you in a way that makes it easy for your brain to sort through it all. You may even have a formula or a sheet. Let's back up. Didn't I just say time, energy, and resources? Yeah, let's say that again. You probably spend an enormous amount of time, energy, and resources to get your prospects and clients to communicate to you in a way that you need. So speaking of formulas and sheets, for Alchemy for Life Coaching, I created the balance sheet, which allows people to fill it out and separate their activities into 5 facets, which I then take to map things out. Without the sheet, it would be a very long question and answer session, corralling and herding the person and their thoughts into something cohesive. I've often said that other coaches, in fact, every other coach that I know of that hasn't developed that system, which is basically everyone else, they do have questionnaires and they do have question and answer sessions, but they're poking and prodding and probing as opposed to my way of mapping it out. And they start their sessions with, "So, how was your week?" Because it's all this linear thing of constantly trying to get the data to be in a form that they understand, but they can only get some of it that way. It's two-dimensional for them. Honestly, regardless of what you do, everyone eventually ends up with this kind of funnel. And I'm not even talking about a sales funnel. Blech. I only make that noise because I'm really bad at it. So what are we learning today? Well, we're learning that if you are sensitive to things, that doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you somebody who's trying to get attention. And I want to draw a distinction between someone who's triggered by absolutely everything, someone who wants a wall around everything that everyone else thinks is fairly normal, and someone who just receives a bit more data and doesn't ignore it. I think about people who hang stuff from their rear view mirror. You know, they have jewelry and they have like a garter belt from like their wedding or something like that. And even people who hang CDs. And if you don't know what a CD is, it's a big freaking disc that is essentially a mirror that reflects things in a rainbow. And it's the last thing that you'd want to put in your field of view, looking straight ahead to where something's going to kill you or you're going to kill something by hitting it. And yet some people do that. And do you know how they do that? What do you think they're doing? They're ignoring data in a certain area. They go, oh, all that flashing and sudden movements? That's just the CD and the jewelry and the trinkets that I'm hanging there. Oh, okay. I mean, in their defense, to a tiny degree, we have to ignore the fact that the rearview mirror is just sitting there floating in space while we drive. We basically, if we see movement in our rearview mirror, we will look into it and go, wait, is somebody following too closely? What is that? And if we're backing up, we use that or we use our backup cam. Just like if we have someone in the seat next to us and they're kind of flailing around, we eventually go, okay, they must be Sicilian. No offense to Sicilians, I'm Sicilian, so I use my arms a lot. But we go, okay, there's a lot of movement coming from over there. It's not stuff flying through the skies or birds or cars or stuff like that. So there's a certain amount of filtering of data, which is what we're always doing all the time. We're filtering data. I mean, people who are scrolling on their phones, a lot of them are scrolling on their phones while they're doing 6 other things. And I'm not talking about all the wonderful stuff that Alchemy for Life teaches you to go ahead and empty your dishwasher while you're on a phone call. I'm talking about people who scroll on social media while they're watching a YouTube video. Oh, okay. Well, this part's boring. Oh, it is? Okay. Or you ask your wife to sit down and watch a movie and she wants to scroll social media and you're like, honey, this is the good part. Or she says, now, why did he do that? And you're like, we explained that 6 minutes ago or a half hour ago in the movie. Oh, I was scrolling. Filtering data and choosing which data is important to you, right? Which data is important? Which data is related to your health? And if you have difficulty turning off that data, we get into the realm of being on the spectrum of ADHD and being overly sensitive. Can you see my air quotes? I'm doing the darndest to make air quotes. Overly sensitive. I've spent my life essentially being overly sensitive to things. I had to deal with that in my childhood of being overly sensitive according to family members. Friends, no. Friends, people, they got it right away. Most people consciously or unconsciously are going to take some of that oversensitization and work it into a career. They're going to work it into a career or a hobby. It's just going to continue to be useful to them in some way, hopefully. Your ability to reason when presented with a problem is based not only on your intelligence and how fast your brain works, but on how much data you're getting. And how much data you're getting is based on what? It's based on how much data you allow. So if you're someone that understands that you're getting a lot of extra data, the best thing to do is to celebrate that and to not beat yourself up. I haven't said that in a while, and I used to say that every episode. And to not beat yourself up because you are receiving more data. That's a good thing. And you just have to filter that. And if you say, look, I can't go to that cafe because it's too loud, then it's too loud. If you say, hey, I'd love to go on a date, there, but we can't hear each other talk, you're going to find more and more people feel that same way. If when you want to watch a movie, you simply want to watch a movie, you want to turn your phone off or put it into another room, more power to you. That's awesome. Take care.
Living life every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days. Yeah.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the podcast, you might enjoy my books. Check them out on Amazon.
Living life every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days.